the good vibe, got the 1942 pouring in my cup. In the session real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up. Bring the bottles to the section, big tab, go ahead and just live it up. Get lit one night, after that, we can go ahead.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon. And we here on 95 South Podcast once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on here and to be able to have this great platform for great people. I introduce my right-hand man, your baby mama's favorite host, and the man that gets it done in all angles and all ways. What's going on, Team Jacob? What's going on, my man?
Good, man. Glad to be in the land of the living, man. As you know, we all blessed by the best.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, so go ahead and introduce this young man so we gonna get this interview going, and you know what I'm saying, and get this story for the night.
All right, man. Today we have none other than recording artist, songwriter, music influence, The Mind. What's up, brother?
Not much. How's it going?
Good, good, man. So, for the people that want to know, who is the unconditional artist, the music influencer, the people's champ, The Mind? Who are you? How would you explain that to somebody?
First of all, the name is like a thinking process. I always tell people, like, when you think of the mind, I got my name from this commercial where it used to always say the mind is a terrible thing to waste. So, like, when I write my music and when I introduce my music to people and talk to people, I try to bring music that I would let my kids listen to.
Okay, man. So, how did you get started with your music career, man? What was that process, and what made you understand that this is really something that you need to get out to the masses?
So, man, this started a long time ago. I started writing like when they used to sell music on they used to sell the singles, and my oldest brother used to go to the store and buy the singles, and they had the beat instrumentals on the other side of the tape. And so that's how I started writing music. I used to write to the instrumentals, and I started writing in notebooks, and I saved them because I said when I'm done growing up here, I'm moving to Atlanta to start recording more and be more into the music world. And so that's what happened. I ended up moving to Atlanta, started recording, still kept a job, just started recording and record more. And now just putting the music out.
So, what is it for you um, with the creative process of music? How do you look at all genres of music?
First of all, to be honest, you got to look at the business. Right now, the business is not about talent. It's about agenda. And that's what's hurting the business more than anything. So as an artist, when you sign deals and you look for deals from labels, you got to go in there with a strong point of this is who you are and this is who you're going to be, right? A lot of people don't understand that. They go in there and let the label change their identity and be what they want them to be. That's why you see the hip hop world is where it's at now with, all this ish, all this ish going on in it. It's not about talent anymore, but that's why I stay independent. And so I get a lot of calls from A&R reps, old school hip hop artists, um, asking me, yo, man, yo, when your shit's fire, when you gonna sign a deal? I'm like, man, I did that 10 years ago. I did like about a month and a half. I got a call from Fat Joe trying to bring me up to New York, and I told him I'm just not be on. I don't feel the game right now is what I'm not what the game wants. So I mean, I appreciate the reach out, but I think I'm gonna stay in my corner. And he continues to text me and stuff like that. We talk every now and then, but I just see the game for what it really is. I'm not trying to cover it up. I see the game doesn't want talent. The game wants agenda.
I can't go and chop in with him, man.
So coming from a small town or whatever, and you know, coming from the South Carolina area and all that kind of stuff. What was the challenge of? Because one thing I talk about with Jacob all the time is South Carolina is one of those markets that's kind of untapped. Like they haven't had that breakthrough artist to really, really go for people to really pay attention. Like Atlanta, when Atlanta was in that same position years ago, it took, you know, a couple of artists for them to finally break through, and then they just took off. So one, what's the challenge of it from coming from that area? And two, what do you think is going to really take for that one artist, you know, to come out of the area like a J. Cole came out of North Carolina, in that sense or whatever?
First, it's gonna take open-minded to something. You're gonna have to be open-minded to what they bring in. And then the artist, you got to get the artist to understand that you got to bring something to the table. You can't just bring a CD to the table. You got to bring a little bit of bank. You got to bring a little bit of swag. You know, the main thing is telling the artist, don't walk up to the game with an empty pocket. You know, if it's your stuff, help these DJs. These DJs, you know, they don't work for free. You know, if they see that you trying or at least have something to offer, they'll work with you. But if you just walking up to them with a CD and want them to play it or want them to push it, you know, you got to bring a little bread to the table, bro. And then, you know, just see where it goes from there. Because if that DJ really, really likes your music and start to push it, it could spread. But see, a lot of cats don't understand that. They think, oh, the song's hot, everybody gonna play it for free. It don't work that way.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because I was talking to a DJ from your area, from South Carolina last night. I'm not gonna say who it is, but we had a conversation and trying to put something together. And he said, man, I love the idea of it, but the problem is a lot of these, you can't even get an artist to pay $25 to put their music in rotation, let alone if you had to charge them 50 to 100, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So, and then me and Jacob was talking, and we was like, well, he was like, well, maybe one, these artists for some odd reason don't want to put money behind themselves, and two, if the artist knows the person, like the DJ, if it's like a local DJ or whatever that they deal with on a regular basis, they don't look at that person as important. And I said, yeah, that could be a factor too. So what are your feels on these artists that, because you made a good point about having money. We talk about it all the time. So what do you feel about that thing of artists like definitely need, not just with the DJs, but just in general when it comes to just to like the radio play? Because one thing that artists don't realize is they say, oh, people don't listen to radio, but radio is still very important in this business. You know what I'm saying? They try to make it seem like it ain't, but it still moves the needle. That's why some artists still getting shows and stuff. So behind that radio play, especially when they get that big bag. So what is your feel on all what I just said?
So some people, like I deal with a lot of cats too that think the same way, and I tell them like this: it's only so much a DJ can do, and you got to help them out. So it takes money to, if that DJ is going from Columbia, South Carolina to Beaufort, and he see that, you say, hey man, here's a little 75 for gas. He gonna play your stuff. He gonna try to help you out. He gonna break your town in that new region he go to. But if you're a DJ, say, hey man, just take, if I'm a DJ and you just give me a CD and say, hey man, bump this on the way, I'm gonna look at you like you ain't even offer me nothing, right? And I'm going down to a new audience. I'm gonna try to introduce you to new people. But a lot of people, like what I see is a lot of people spend $200 on Jordan. And just like you say, when you say, hey man, get on my mixtape for $25. Oh, I ain't paying that. Well, you got to figure out what you want. You want new shoes or you want to make money, right? Jordan going to get paid regardless if you buy it or not. It's your career. You cannot be an artist and go in a club and buy bottles, but when it comes to your music, you don't even want to push your own music. You see, you hustling backwards, bro.
Now, so the thing about it too is it's funny because you say you're in the Atlanta market now, moving around, right?
Yes.
So years ago, I used to manage a lot of artists years ago, and I had this one artist. He was originally from Seattle, and he has some great music. And I took his music down to the radio station, and they basically said, "Oh, we love the music, but it doesn't fit our station." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean it doesn't fit?" "Well, it doesn't sound like the sound of Atlanta." So I'm like, "So are we promoting great music, or are we promoting a sound?" Because that's one that, and I felt like that's what kind of started kind of like watering down Atlanta music, and Atlanta music kind of like lost what it had years ago with Outkast and Goody and Ludacris early on, and T.I. and Jeezy, because we started just saying, okay, well, everybody has to fit in this box or in this lane to be able to be seen in Atlanta. So what has been your experience, being that you're so outside the box and different from what is going on in Atlanta probably in the last maybe 10 years?
So the point you make is like they said that's not Atlanta sound, and that really hurts a lot of artists because instead of them being open up to something new, they're closed minded. Because if you're just looking for Atlanta sound, then these artists is gonna try to sound like what's on the radio, and that's bad. Instead of just bringing new stuff to the game, like you never know what's gonna blow up until you play it to people. But my thing is like I promote a lot of positive music, and so people and out here, it's all that dope boy stuff, and now that's played out. They're looking for something new, and so that was bogged down. This is what bogged down the rap game, and to where all these women is twerking and all these dudes is selling dope. That's basically the whole concept of the game now. And that's what happens to what you just said. When you only look for a certain sound, then you get that certain sound, and that sound becomes played out. Now what's next?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's basically what happened. I don't know if you was around Atlanta doing the Roscoe Dash,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I
uh,
was here.
Roscoe Dash, and I forgot the mother cat's name. That
Roscoe
other
Dash, Gucci Man,
all
Shorty Lower, them,
that group.
D4L.
Yeah, and then I was thinking about the other group, Travis Porter. So like doing like those all the like, especially like between all that time frame, theirs was more. It wasn't, theirs wasn't on the drugs. More like club, like feel good music, club music they was doing. But for whatever reason, that sound died off pretty quick. Like it only probably lasted maybe a couple of years with that whole movement that they had going on. So like when you go out to the clubs and you go out and you perform, because like I was telling Jacob, like when I first came to Atlanta in 09, 08, 09, for about a good 4 or 5 years, the open mic showcase, the opportunities as far as to perform on a regular was on fire. And I said in the last few years, I've seen it has died off. One, because I feel like the promoters became too janky. They're not really giving the artists what they promise them, and it's like a money grab thing. And two, I feel like when artists started getting on social media and going Spotify and having a little bit of success or attention, they pretty much got lazy and don't want to go out there and grind and hustle in the streets like they're supposed to. So speak on that, and also speak on the importance of grinding and hustling in the streets with this music still.
So, um, okay, the open mics, what it is in Atlanta, what killed it is these DJs will try to get 200 artists out there and no fans. So an artist ain't gonna cheer on another artist even if he tight. That's just the way it is. So if you got more artists out there than fans, then it's gonna be a problem. And then number two, all the artists don't get to perform. Only
Mm-hmm.
the ones they're cool with. The ones they don't know. Like if I go to a club right now in Atlanta and I'm not heavy out in the streets, like knowing these people, they'd be like, "Oh, well, I ain't paying if I'm not performing. How much people you got up here?"
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit in the crowd and listen, but I ain't finna go out there and be number 75 and knowing that, knowing that the club gonna close before you get to 50. Well, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
pay, and then you're gonna tell me, "Oh, I get you next week." No, that's gonna work for me. So they overbook the artists, and then they don't try to get somewhere in the market to get fans out. And
Yeah.
so you have a club with 300 artists and 50 fans. That's what killed it. A lot of these cats don't know what they're doing nowadays. People just jump up and say I'm a promoter because they got a shirt on or they got some slang or they know how to talk. That's not promoting, bro.
Mm.
Promoting is really knowing how to get as much fans out there or way more fans than the artists you got performing. And then you got to hype the artists up. Like
Yeah.
like 90% of the times you go to open mics, they don't know none of the artists is about 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
remember like there was a club called Throwbacks in Atlanta, and
Yep. Throwbacks.
we went we went out there and I performed a song, and Fresh from
In Decatur, right? Is that the one in Decatur?
Fresh, it's top of Atlanta somewhere. I live north. So Fresh was out there with the artist called Blood Raw, and
Mm-hmm.
so I did a song. I can't remember the song, but Fresh had came and talked to me. He was like, "Yo, man, what you got going on? Who managing you?" I said, "Man, I'm just testing the streets, bro. You know, I'm not focused yet on the next step, but I'm just testing the street, see what the crowd like." And so he's like, "Man, that's just fire, man." So his artist right there, listening to him tell me that, he catching feelings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, "Let me get your number." I gave him a CD with my number and stuff on the back, and I gave him some track. He said, "Let me bring you down to Macon." I said, "I ain't finna happen." And so like that, but like I've met a lot of people since I've been here in the business. I've been around the business. Like I used to date this girl, her brother was in the business, and he was one of the reasons why I knew the rap game went from talent to agenda. And
Mm-hmm.
so like because I saw what they did to him. I saw what they did to Day Group. And so I was like, man, there's no way I'm not gonna sign no deal if I can't control my product.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
see, Ice Cube said it best. The dudes that control the music business control the prisons. That's why you see Puffy in jail right now. It's a
Mm-hmm.
setup. It's a setup. It's all a
Yeah.
trap. What they doing is they using the rappers to push drugs. They're using the women to get these girls to grow up fast and trafficking and kidnapping and in jail. And so that's the agenda for the business right now.
Yeah, cause I think the one thing too that when it comes to these open mics and these showcases or whatever, one they need to have really screen the artists. And like I remember like Apache, they would do that, and a couple other ones when they would have it was one on the north side at a little bar spot. I forgot the name of it. And they would really like screen the artists and bring quality artists, and then two, they wouldn't have 30 artists. They might have 10 artists on the bill that night. You know what I mean? And get more quality than quantity or whatever, because it wasn't just about the money. It was about really, really trying to showcase the artists, and then they would actually have real people like real producers or real A&Rs or whoever executives out there looking at this talent. So I think that's two, and then three, I think they need to actually ask the artists what they really want, what they're looking for in this business. Because artists are not going to just show up for stuff if they don't really, if they with whatever you offering, they don't care about. You know what I'm saying? We're in that era now where these artists feel like they have a sense of entitlement or a sense of power of like we can do it on our own. So what are you going to offer us that we can't do for ourselves? And that's the way you have to push it in that regard of just saying, well, we just going to give you studio time, or we just going to give you a distribution deal. And most artists looking like, I don't want none of that. Or I got my own place I can go do studio time at. And I basically they look at Spotify or look at iTunes or whatever. They look at all that as their distribution. So I think that's one thing. But Jacob, you can jump back in or whatever.
So you as an artist, what is something that you want to do to impact the community, to show the community that you're more than an artist?
First of all, I focus on change the game, change the sound of music, get music back to where music used to be fun, and where you don't have to go to everywhere you go try to be a badass. You can be an artist, bring good music, and still be on a positive level and stuff like that. Second of all, like I do a lot because I talk to a lot of kids that try to do music. And when I talk to them, I said, listen, you coming to me with a CD in a case, right? No cover, no graphic designs, no artwork, no number, no nothing, right? So if I take this song and I like it, how am I gonna get back in touch with you? That you got to teach them how to be more business minded, even though they're young. Say, listen, this is a business. That CD represents you, bro. If you're giving me this CD with nothing, with just a CD and a cover, then I think that you're not as serious as you want to be. You just throw the hook in the water and see if it catches. But if you serious and know your music gonna catch, go the whole distance. Get graphic design done. Give me a professional album cover. Put your number on the back for contact. I might not like it, but I might pass it on to somebody else. Somebody I've sat in I was talking to Chuck Anderson one day, who runs Grand Hustle, and I met him at T.I.'s club one night, and I gave him a song. I gave him some songs. I basically gave him a full length album, and he was like, "Man, this shit ready to go, bro. This shit ready to be pressed." He's like, "A lot of people just give me a song and a cover." And I said, when you represent yourself, bro, whatever I give you, that's how you're going to look at me. And so he was like taking other CDs and throwing them in the trash. He said, your shit is professionally done, man. This shit is ready to be pressed and ready to press more CDs and put out on the market. He said, that's where we take you more seriously. And that's when I was still learning the game. But I always try to give it a professional look, because my mom used to always say, like, I don't care if you rake grass, be the best grass raker you can be and go look appropriate so they can take you serious. So that's where I got my my mojo from.
Okay, great. So we're switched from the analog to the digital era. How do you think that the digital era has impacted hip hop, and how do you think that it has taken away from the original way where people do business, face to face meetings, handshakes, look a man in the eye? So, what's your thoughts on that?
So it's a good, and then it's a plus and it's a minus. Um, the plus is, you know, you can catch fire just putting a song on the internet, but you don't build a fan base with people you need to build a fan base with. Like, you don't rub a DJ's elbow. Like, you don't rub a promoter's elbow, right? So you don't meet face to face with these people, and you don't sit and talk to them about the next step. Okay, you got a hot record. What's the next step? Where can we go? When you just on the internet, you really have no contact with people you really need to be contact with, especially business minded, because everything is done over the net. At some point in time, you need to sit down and drink some coffee or sweet tea and eat a donut with somebody and chat, because like me and you chatting right now, you might tell me something that could boost my career a little more. You say, hey, okay, you hot on the internet. Why don't you try the video game? Why don't you try getting your music in commercials? So the internet ain't gonna tell you that.
I can dig it. And so, for you, man, when it when it comes to your music and your creative process, man, and when it comes to talking about topics that nobody else want to talk to, man, how is that creative process, man? And what is your mental state and your emotional state when you're really writing something that the world needs to hear, not what they want to hear, but what they need to hear?
So I'm the type of artist, I never do what they want to hear. I always bring the hard message. At some point in time, like I got a new song come out called "Make You Famous," and I said in the song, I said one of the lines in the song was, "It's not about it's not about joining the gang. It's about stepping aside and being outside the gang, right? So where it's like, don't do what already out there. Bring something totally different from left field. Because people are pretty much tired of what the game has to offer. So they're looking for something new. And when you do music, try to look for something that's marketable. I mean, you might sell 50 million records, but you know, after that record, what else? If that record is not marketable, what else? So you want to bring a record that's marketable. Like Flo Rida got that song called Low, right? Well, guess who picked that song up a couple years ago? Kroger. $1 million 10 years after that record dropped. And see, if you're not paying attention, the marketing world is not even marketing any new music. Everything they marketing it is old music because these cats can't get the game, can't get it right. They want to be hard, they want to be gangsters, they want to be tough, and it's hurting them at the same time because you're not marketable. I mean, it's okay to have homie music, but you know, at the end of the day, you want that long, slow money. Like 10 years from now, somebody picking up your record and using it.
Mm-hmm.
So you are MC and you've been studying your craft for a long time. So I just want to see how you look at other artists, and I'm gonna give you a few artists, and you can kind of dissect what you've heard thus far from them, and tell me what you think about them. I'm gonna say J. Cole, Drake, Common, Kendrick Lamar, Meek Mill, Rick Ross. So how would you dissect all of their music into a statement where you feel like their music has been impactful to the whole culture of hip hop?
So out of the whole bunch, J. Cole, I would say is the best out of that whole bunch because he doesn't make a whole CD about one thing. Like most of these artists that you just named, whole CD or 95% of the CD is about one thing. And by the time you get to the fifth song, you're tired of their CD. You know, Drake, I never been a Drake fan. So that's kind of tough because I always thought that his music didn't really like grab you like a DMX. Like when DMX bring a song to you, no matter what song it is, it's gonna grab you because the energy's there, the vibe is there. Even a Kanye West. And so that's how I look at J. Cole. Now, a lot of the Meek can flow, but like I say, when you bring something, it's got to stand out and it's got to grab you, right? I tell people like this: when somebody hear your song for the first time, it's gonna be yay or nay. And me, I don't like drug music, so I'm already against that because I figure like that's not music. I don't even call it hip hop. I call it copycat music because everybody's doing that. Everybody, if you go back, every song came out, every album came out, somebody was popping, pushing dope. And it got to the point to where everything was dope. We just had a conversation about this on TikTok. And I told him like this, I said, and people got mad. I said, Snoop Dogg is really not that lyrical. I said, when you listen to Snoop, he's smooth, but he's not lyrical. I said, I'm gonna tell you how come. I said, remember when he rapped with Dre and he left? And that next album he did without Dre, it was trash. The industry was like, nah, Snoop, you need Dre. Your shit sound like crap. Right? Okay. So I said, when you listen to an artist, don't just listen to the beat, listen to the artist. I was like Big was Big was never my number one rapper, but I like Big and Jadakiss. Tupac was always my rapper because his message, a lot of his songs have real good message. And Scarface, Ice Cube, and this is why I like a lot of the rappers that I still listen to today from back in the day because they message and their music is timeless. Like a lot of songs you hear today, you won't hear 5 years from now.
So what three artists of today that we listen to will we still be listening to 20 years from now?
Tupac, Scarface, Nas, a little Jay-Z, Ice Cube. Um, there's no like, for instance, Soldier Boy had a lot of good hits, but it wasn't like the type of hits where like you like when you hear it, like you already start dancing, right? He had a lot of good songs, a lot of number one records, but at the same time, play Ambition as a Rider right now and see how people react. Play So Many Tears, see how people react. And that's what 10, 15 years from now, I see old heads, man. When you put out Ambition as a Rider, they on the side of the street dancing, right? So that's how I look at music. Is your music gonna be timeless, or is just in the era when that era is over, it's gonna fade out? And that's what happening now. The drug music done fade out so bad that people don't even care for it too much anymore.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely right. And so, for you as an artist, man, what are some charities or some organizations that you want to work with to really keep that positive music in alignment to really, impact the world globally? Like, what are some of the charities that you would like working for to kind of be a spokesperson for and to use that platform of music as toolage?
So I always tell people like this. I want I, I'm not the type of guy that introduce everybody to black money because everybody don't introduce us to their money. So I like to stay focused on my culture because that's where the most important thing is stay focused on your culture. And I talk to a lot of artists about songwriting. Like, don't just get up in the studio, run in there for 5 minutes and you out. That's not how it works. When you in a business to where you can influence people, try to influence them in a good way, because when you make all these drug records and shoot 'em up records, keep in mind you might have kids that's listening too. I don't know if y'all remember Young Dro, T.I. Shoulder Lean. So Young Dro came, I got he caught his daughter using drugs. So he was pissed. But you got to think the same thing you push to other people kids, your kids listening too. And so he found out his daughter was on drugs, so they both went to rehab. But if you want to help her, you got to pull all your music off the shelf, right? Because all your music about smoking and riding.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always tell people, like, you got to be careful what you say to other people kids, because if you got kids, your kids listening too. And if your kids think it's cool because you did it, then they're gonna do it, and you might be like, "Oh no, it wasn't intention for you to do it."
Yeah, look at Boosie and Ti kids.
Yep,
Same
that's
thing.
there's a
Yeah.
yeah. What you put out there, your kids listening too, bro. Not just the other people kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right. And so, man, got one more question for you. Then I cannot turn it back over to you. Um, as far as you, man, when you're when an artist wants to collab with you, what do you look for in that collaboration, and what makes you say yes, and what makes you say no?
So, my producer, I known him for like 30, 40 years. And he's got his son raps. So his son's like, "Hey dad, can you get James to make a track with me or Damon?" And he goes, "The music you make, he's not getting on the tracks. He don't do drug tracks, he don't do drinking tracks, he don't do nothing that promote violence." I said, I got his whole catalog right there. You can listen to his whole catalog. It's not one song of his about drinking. He got about 400, 500 tracks here. So he asked me, and I said, "Listen, if I'm gonna get on your track, we ain't smoking, we ain't drinking, we ain't busting heads or nothing. We're gonna try to teach people how to be. We're gonna make good music. If we're gonna do a club trap, we're gonna teach them. We're gonna make them bounce. If we're gonna do something for them to ride to, we're gonna give them something to think about. We ain't finna be making all that knucklehead music, bro."
Right, right. And so, Icon, this is a question for both of y'all. After the mind answer, I want you to answer too. Is there enough intellectual process in the thoughts in the minds of artists where they can make records sober and be as creative as they were if they had the blunt or the drink at hand.
Okay, so the problem with that question is the 300 artists before them made it big, smoking and drinking. So now they got in their mind that that's cool. So to get them to think outside the box is going to be where the problem at, right? That's going to be the hardest problem. So it's like you're a promoter, right? So if I bring 12 artists to you and they all rapping about dope, right? It's up to you to say, listen, man, I got 12 songs that sound the same. By the time I get to the fifth track, these people gonna be tired of you. They ain't even gonna want to hear the rest of y'all. So what do you have that's different? What do you have that's different? What do you have that's different? So that's what it's gonna take. And then they're gonna start to go in the studio, and it might not be the next song, but it'll be the third song that they start changing their intellect and start to think deeper than what they're putting out. Because if you just play on 12 of these artists, they're gonna think it's cool without talking to them. And that's why I keep saying, like, it's more than just the artist's fault, it's the promoter's fault. Because you got to tell them, I got 10 artists that sound like you, exactly like you. So by the time I play the first three and get to you, they tired of this stuff. The crowd leaving. So what you got to keep the building packed? That's bottom line.
Well, before I answer that, shout out to our affiliates, our partners, Villa Global Network, our 173 countries, 8 radio stations, and our other 2 radio stations, She Real Radio, T Dubs Entertainment Radio, that we get played on. And if you want to book us, hit us up at 95southpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to book us for media, or if you want to come on for an interview. And please subscribe to 910 Sports and Entertainment Network on our YouTube page. So getting back to the question you asked, Jacob, the thing I'll say is this, is that me and Jacob talk about this all the time when it comes to blame and the artists that what they do today and what they did, yesterday, or what they did yesterday and what they do today. A lot of it is our generation fault, because in the 80s and 90s, we promoted the drug music. We promoted the drug selling, and most of the artists from back in the day, especially the artists that come from like New York and like Oakland and all those places, they took their style from drug dealers and pimps. You know what I'm saying? Especially in LA culture and in the New York culture, they was trying to dress like the drug dealers, the people you see like on the Pay the Full cats, the Suprema Griffs and all of those cats. That's where the rappers took it from. So the artists of today just looked at what they seen and thought that's the blueprint to be able to be popular. Because you got to think, up until a certain time, Big Daddy Kane and all that, Big Daddy Kane was trying to rap to the ladies. LL was trying to rap to the ladies. And then when NWA and Death Row came around, then all of a sudden they got rid of all of that and said, okay, we're gonna focus on this drug music. We're gonna focus on this violence over here, because you know what I'm saying, that seems to be where everything is going anyway. So we just gonna focus on that and get rid of all this over here. That's why Common has never was able to be what he needed to be or whatever. Because I tell people this all the time. I said, if J. Cole was back in that era, he might just be another rapper, especially if he came out in between that NWA, Death Row, Bad Boy era. He might just be another rapper because of the fact that they didn't want that kind of conscious rap anyway. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's kind of why I feel like, and as far as them getting high, I just feel like a lot of art, they probably could make good music without getting high, but they train their mind to say, this is what it is. And when you go to most studios, and the Mind probably could attest to this, you go to most studios in Atlanta, everybody in there getting high and getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? And there's half-naked girls, and some of them all over the place. So it's nothing positive in the studio 9 times out of 10, unless the studio owner or manager says nobody can be in here but the artist, and they control that environment. But most cases they want that money, so they're not going to ruffle the feathers with that artist too tough, because they want that artist to keep coming back to spend money with them. So that's kind of the thing right there with that.
True. True. You know what? The the um the labels saw a way to they took that what the problem with hip hop now is they take hip hop and turn it as a weapon against the black community, the culture, our culture. They saw how music moved people. So what they did was they pushed the negative music to say, man, this could really work. We could lock up a lot of people because that's what happened. Yeah, a lot of artists then went to jail, but a lot of people that follow these artists went to jail just by listening to them. So that's why I say like the game is about agenda now and not talent. And so you're gonna really have to go in there really strong. If you're gonna sign a deal, make sure you go after them. If you push 100K in the street, like if you got 100,000 downloads, sit down there and talk to that label like you got some sense. Don't sit there and let them talk to you like you ain't bringing nothing to the table, because you be like, hey, I already sold 100,000 on my own. So it's like one of my friends had a single like about 15 years ago, and he sold 3 million copies of the single. And I told him not to sign the deal because I said the deal was going to be worse. But he signed the deal and dropped the whole album and didn't make 100,000. So like, because I tell him like this: when you on a label, yeah, they're gonna make all these shirts for you. They might make you $1,000 worth of shirts, but by the time you get that bill is $1,800. So the label, I say, you got to understand when you're hustling, when you go 3 times platinum on the street, bruh, just keep hustling. Like Slim Thug said, I drove a brand new Bentley every year before I signed the deal. I signed the deal and can't even get a new Bentley. So it's just like, man, the game is designed to screw you, bro. And when I saw a lot of rap contracts. I did a song called "Stop the Violence," and everybody's like, man, it's like something that people don't want to hear, but this song is so strong that it's a pretty good chance that they're going to hear it. And so the guy was like, man, we can do this, we can do that. And I said, man, if I'm the artist, I want 99% input on my project. Your job is just to push the project. When you come in here trying to tell me how to create the project, then I'm not hurting for the money. I can afford to walk away. That's why I told Fat Joe I own my own small business. So that's why I keep pushing my own records. Because at the end of the day, I'm paying for my own stuff, and I promote and I make what I want to make, and I put out what I want to put out and when I want to put out. I'm not controlled by anybody, and I'm not a rat want the cheese so bad. Because the cheese is attached to a trap that you don't see.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this too. I think especially when it comes to the A&Rs and executives, I think the one thing about A&Rs with most of these labels, they're not really of the culture. They're not really they're not really true fans of, like back in the day in the 80s and 90s when they had A&Rs. These were people that actually would like study the music, study the sound, and then at the same time they would go out and look for artists based off of talent. They wouldn't have to just click on YouTube and say, oh, this artist got 1 million views. Let me go offer them a deal to come over here. And then that same artist, when they put out that next single, they can't do 5,000 of records sold or whatever. They can't stream or whatever. They can't even stream on their next records or the next records. They not at the same quality they did that first record. You know what I'm saying? Because one, the wrong person came in and touched their music and messed it all up. And two, was that artist really that talent, or they just hit that one lightning in a bottle moment to be able to be hot? So if you think about Loud Records, I think Steve Rifkin don't get enough credit for what he did. He went out and signed a Mobb Deep. He went out and signed a Wu-Tang. He believed in artists that a lot of other people didn't believe in, and took them to another level or whatever. And it was based off of, he had to go in there and fight for them to get, small checks to when everybody else was getting $1 million deals. Just to get them $500,000 or $250,000, he had to fight for that because a lot of the white executives didn't understand that type of music. So I think in the record, if the record labels are going to continue to want to sign artists, that's what and that's what I've heard. They supposed to be trying to go back to that. They trying to go back to, let's go back to looking for artists are based off of talent and what we see and what we hear with our own eyes, instead of how is it like in sports now? Everything based off of analytics. You know what I'm saying? And you watch sport, you watch a football game or whatever, you be like, why did they do that? Why would they go for a fourth down on their own 30? That don't make any sense. Analytics said they supposed to. No, but common sense don't tell you that. So let's go back to what it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So what you feel about that whole thing right there?
So the internet is fool's gold. The internet is, like I said, it's fool's gold, bro. Like the little kid had the song called "And Mama, Don't Worry, You Raised a Gangster," something like that. Okay, he blew up from just that one line in that song. Now he's in prison, but he blew up from that one line in the song because everybody liked that line, and then people thought it was a hot record. But when they heard the record, it was like, record's not that good. He just had that one hot line in it. So TikTok can trick you because it can just take a skit from your song and it can blow you up. You can get 100 million views, 200 million views, and he hot. But then you sign him and he can't push 5,000. But that comes to now. It's like when you come in to sign an artist, I think you should bring him in and talk to him a couple times before you actually put a contract in front of him, right? And say, hey, you brought something. I like that record, but before I can give you a deal, let's make 2 more of those records, because that ensures me that I'm gonna invest in a good I'm gonna invest in a good market or a good person or a good business. You're gonna be a good business deal for me. If you can bring only one record, and then a lot of these artists' record, when they make one good record, they whole album sound the same. It's like in Atlanta right now, like the DJs are saying, man, we so fucking tired of this Little Baby sound. Everybody got the Little Baby sound. Everybody got the Jeezy song. We tired of that. Do something different. Beats sound the same. Flows sound the same. Do something different. Do something different. Nobody can, because the creative mind ain't there, because like I said, we go back to the radio. The radio station conditioned their mind that this is what gets you played. And so everybody took on to that instead of bringing different stuff to the table. If we go to a cookout and we all bring potato salad, where's the meat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this one other question before I throw it back to Jacob, or whatever. So, and I might be tripping. You let me know, but you seem to be a deep thinker like we are. And I was telling Jacob earlier, I said, and this may ruffle some feathers, especially in the Black community when I say this. Do we really have our own culture when it comes to clothing? We've always hollered, oh, well, everybody steals our looks and how we want to dress and this, that, and the third. But the one thing that I notice is we all we want to buy when we get rich is Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and all these other like overseas brands. When we actually had our own stuff, when we had our state properties, when we had our cross colors, when we had our Supreme, when we had our what's the other one? A few other like brands or whatever.
Fubu.
Black brands. Fubu, they still around. They not over here in America for the most part. They had to take it overseas. And the reason why I say that is because I seen a girl's timeline earlier today. I think it was today or yesterday. And she had a caption. The caption was, "This is probably the reason why Remy Ma cheated on Papoose, because Papoose had on a champion jacket with some felines on." And I looked at the comments. I said, wow, that's crazy. So I looked at the comments to see what the people's comment. Most of them said, man, he his own man. He a good man. So you're going to base the way he dressed or whatever he decided to do something different based off of, you know what I'm saying, like that, like whatever, that's crazy, whatever to me. And I'm like, because everybody, like when I was in high school, bro, I didn't wear Jordans. And I was a big Michael Jordan fan in high school. The reason why I didn't wear Jordans, because 100 other cats had Jordans on. So if I want to stand out a little bit, so I'm gonna go get something else because if everybody got the new Jordans on, are you really standing out, or you just another nigga with Jordans on?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
You're in the back.
So to me, that's the one thing I always said. It's almost a facade to me for when we say we create the culture when it comes to maybe a lot of stuff, but I don't think when it comes to clothing we don't, because I know people who make clothing, have their own clothing line, and we do not support it. And then when we go into the mall, the last place we're going to go is into that black-owned store. We go there last before we go, instead of going there first. And then we go in there and their price is the same as the Gucci and the Louis. We get mad and upset. Oh, how you going to overcharge us for this? But you'll go get that Italian man and that French man, they money. So why you can't give us our money?
So you raise a good point, but there's two ways to this thing. So Gucci goes to the hottest rapper and give him free clothes because they know that they're gonna get it back in the end, right? So like if I come to you and you say, hey man, give me 3 shirts and 3 pants. Nah, man, I ain't gonna do that. I'm just write it off. I need clothes for a show, right? You won't get it back because everybody like me. I'm gonna get them to buy your brand. Nah, man, you gotta buy the shit. I'll be like, all right, well, I'll buy 1, right? But give me 3, I'm gonna promote you, right? They're gonna come back to you. That's how they get us. They go to get the hardest rapper and they give them free clothes. Like Tupac used to always say, Versace gave me clothes. You buying it. That's what he told Big. Now it's all about Versace. So Versace used to give me clothes. And now people like the way Tupac dressed and they like Tupac. So they started buying Versace. That's how they get us. We are the biggest marketing billboard in the world, right? We're the smartest people in the world, right? But somehow we let the other side just play us. Like
we're the dumbest consumers. We spend the most money, but we the dumbest consumers of the market because we spend money all in the wrong. Well, I say this when so LL did a commercial back in the day, and the reason why FUBU blew up, and this came directly from the founder and owner of FUBU. He said the reason why FUBU blew up because LL was doing a commercial that had nothing to do with the brand. I forgot what kind of commercial it was, and he had on a FUBU hat. And so from that day, when everybody seen LL with that FUBU hat on, everybody went out and bought FUBU. So let's just say if a Lil Baby, a Lil Durk, whoever you want to name in this culture, like that's big now, whatever, had on that same champion jacket and some Filas or whatever, like Papoose did. You don't think everybody gonna be like, oh shoot, what them the new Filas or something? They gonna go out and jump at it. So if everybody started wearing FUBU, if one of them artists that's culturally big and or NBA YoungBoy went out and said, you know what, I'm gonna go holler at the FUBU cats. I'm gonna go holler at the Supreme cats. Now I'm telling you, even if they gotta make me a personalized bring a shirt, a hat that personalizes my personality or whatever, and customize it for me, I'm gonna go support them. You don't think that everybody and their mama, all these young kids gonna go out and start buying FUBU if we start focusing back on our black brands the way we should instead of focusing so much on the Gucci and the Louis?
Yeah, but you know what? With that comes into mind, it's the same way they did Puffy. When Puffy tried to put his clothes on the big market, because Puffy was selling a lot of clothes in the car trunk. So the big market told Puffy, the music business that controls the little markets told him, like, if you put Puffy on your shelf, we ain't gonna mess with you. So they didn't give Puffy the chance. But when Puffy sold 3 million out of his car trunk, now they want to put him in J.C. Penney. Now they want to put him in Walmart, where the consumers go. So, but the thing about it is we have to start controlling the destiny, or create a destiny that we can control. Stop letting them control our music, our way, what we wear. When you sign to a label, and I've seen this from even big labels, where, like, let's say you bring an artist to me. So my job is to get this artist to blow as much of his check back to me and my friends before he even get something to take home, right? Remember when the labels, like, they started suing these artists because they couldn't pay for the chains and stuff like that? So I bring them in, I give them $2 million worth of chains. But see, the artists don't think. So the label is producing the music, they're shooting the videos, they're flying you out to your shows. Why are you gonna let them put a $2 million chain around your neck? Right? Because right then and there, you blowing your budget. You blowing your bag now. So if you make 5 million, 3 million go back to the label. You only got 2 million before you pay taxes.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think. So that's the whole thing. The whole game is to trap us and to get us to blow as much of our money back. Like this dude said it best. He said, give a black rapper $100 million. Because in the end, he gonna bring you 500 million.
Mm-hmm. Watch this before you go on. I seen an interview with Mark Curry, and the crazy part, what he said in that interview, he said back in the day when they was with Puffy, he said the reason why he knew it was about to come to the end because Death Row was giving out Death Row chains, and Puffy didn't give them a chain, and he was looking like, Suge over here giving out chains, and you ain't. So what's going on with that? Like they was mad and was like basically based off that was like they wanted to leave Bad Boy because of that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's in the middle of the whole back and forth, like right after Big died, but it was still that tension. Like that's kind of crazy that our mind is that messed up even back then, that we more care about a chain than we do about what you just said.
Right. The goal to me is like I say, the money is you want to put a priority on it, but most people put their priority on their image more than the money. Because, like, look at DMX. DMX wear a blue jeans, a t-shirt, and some boots, and that's his image. That's his style.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas you got people in Atlanta where they got 5 chains on, Gucci, Prada. You know, so it's all about perception, bro. Like, at the same time, when you doing something, I think Wiz Khalifa said it best. He said, "Man, why the hell I got to put on $5 million worth of clothes to impress people who don't even make $1 million?"
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's all about. It's like these dudes want to walk. Oh, I got, look at me. I'm the dude. I got all the chain. He ain't got on nothing. That don't mean he ain't hot. That don't mean he ain't selling. That just means he's a little bit more smarter with his bag than you are.
Yeah. So, Jacob, before I don't know if you got anything else to say, but I want to say this. What's my man Yellow Beezy? When he first came out, he said, because he's from Dallas, and he said all his people around him was trying to get him to wear chains, and at the time, he didn't wear jewelry. That wasn't his thing. And he said, but people started clowning him on social media, like, oh, if he making all this money and he doing this, why he don't have no chains on? And he said it's crazy because he started wearing, he wore a couple of pieces just to show people, like, you know what I'm saying, that I do got money. So y'all basically get people to back off of him. He went out and bought a couple of chains for that reason. And I'm just like, that's crazy that you have to prove to people, oh, the people gonna dog you out. And then you look at the DMX, who to me, he in my top 5. You know what I'm saying, of greatest rappers. I tell people, I challenge anybody, you give me any rapper, give them their first 3 albums. Nobody has their first 3 albums better than DMX. Their very first 3 albums, you give me anybody. First 3 albums, not better than his first 3. They might be right there, but they not better than DMX's first 3 albums. Jacob, say.
You know, it's
Uh,
you said
nah,
it. Oh, you said
nah, man. I ain't mean to cut y'all, brother. I'm just listening, soaking it up, man. And I just want to tell Demond, man, it's been such a great intellectual conversation, my brother. And just make sure you tell everybody where to, follow you at. Tell us about any new projects and tell about any upcoming shows you may have coming out. But
Well,
you
you
got
can finish your thought first and then go into that.
what's that?
I said you can finish your thought first and then go what
Oh,
he just.
nah. So I was watching Waka Flocka Flame, and he said, man, I used to go out and buy chickens because I thought that impressed people. And he was like, at the end of the day, I'd be like, why I got all this crap? Why do I need this stuff? He said he got rid of everything. If you don't like me, fine. I ain't got to prove to you I got money, right? So that's my mentality. It's like, why you got to prove to people? You don't see the record labels walk around with 10 chains on, and they got the money.
Mm-hmm.
They got the bags. You don't see
Mm-hmm.
them walking around with Gucci on. I tell people like this: white people don't wear white people clothes. Gucci don't wear Prada. Prada don't wear Fendi. We wear
Nope.
that. They don't even give a fuck about us. Matter of
Nope.
fact, right?
Nope. I've been to the airport every day, I'll be paying attention to people when I see white boys and these white girls or whatever, and they be wearing these shoes and you don't even know what they are. They wear shoes for comfortability. They don't wear
Skateboarder
for
shit.
they don't, and that's back since I was in middle school. I went to school with rich white boys, or their parents was doctors and lawyers, and we in there trying to get the best joints every year. And then white boys come to school with a t-shirt and some beach shorts on and some rag shoes, and they'll wear them same shoes all year long like it ain't nothing until the doggone soles fall off. But we the only ones that worry about all that or whatever and feel like that make us important if we got on some Nikes or I went to school with cats who moms was on Section 8 and the whole nine, but they had all the name brand stuff, but their mom could barely put food on the table. And you know what I'm saying, they had to rob Peter to play Paul, but they kids wearing all this stuff and got all the video games and all this other crap they didn't need. And for what? You know what I'm saying? So, but
Yeah.
anyway, like I said, man, just let us know where they can find you, whatever projects you got coming out, where we can find you. This been a breath of fresh air, real great conversation. So, you know what I'm saying? Just let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah. So when I drop, I put my music everywhere. SoundCloud is my major platform that I use for promotions. But I go to iTunes. I try to bump head with DJs. I try to bump heads with a lot of club promoters to get my music into DJ's hand, record pools, you name it, even overseas. I got a TV commercial, a TV show that I use a lot. They charge like $119. They put your music in front of 700 million people. They do it big. They cut you promo videos before the song release. They give it out a couple days so you can put it on your IG and stuff like that. Basically, right now, like I got the song out, That Ain't Cool. And so I talk about a lot. If you heard the record That Ain't Cool, like people say, man, that's a great record. The concept is good. But I got another record coming out in about probably 2 months, and it's called Make You Famous. And everybody's like, when people hear the record, there's like, man, it's unbelievable, like the way you think, bro. And they said, man, at some point in time, you're gonna be that $100 million dude, bro. We like what you bring. We like your energy. It's not negative. It's all positive. You talk to kids in your music, and so because I tell them like this. I got two little boys, and I stay on them all day. I tell them how to choose their friends. Um, I check what they listen to. Um, I just try to be a dad and a business owner and a provider and a musician at the same time. So when I write my music, I got to think about the two little ones that really love me because they follow me. And if I put out bad music, they're gonna do bad because they thinking that since I'm talking all this FU and I got my gun, they're gonna think that's cool. But I don't even talk like that. So like I say, the next one I brought, the next track I dropped, Make You Famous, I'm looking for some big things to happen with this project, bro. Like it's
Okay.
probably some of my best work, and I got like probably 500 tracks on a terabyte, on a 5 gig terabyte. And so, but it's probably some of my best work.
Yeah, I'd love to get that information to you about the 700, the TV show and all that. You know what I mean? Because I got some artists too. Like we got some artists too that we manage and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely would want to
Yeah,
get that.
that's real cool. I mean, you want to talk, or you want to chat? I give my I can find some way to text it to you. Or I give you my number. You hit me up,
Yeah.
because I got a lot of platforms, and that's why with me, I like to promote my records myself, because I bump in and meet a lot of people, and so and like people hit me up all the time. Was like, yo man, I heard one of your records. I got a couple A&Rs right now in my email, and they'd be like, yo man, we're gonna come and bring a gun to your house because you're gonna sign this contract. And I'd be like, y'all need to stay away from me, you know. But I bump into a lot of people and a lot of big promotion, and I learn a lot because I'm the type of dude that I like a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I promote a lot of my music, and I bump into a lot of people. And so like I bumped into this guy and he's singing one of my records and he don't even know it's me. And so I said, where you heard that song from? He said, SoundCloud. I said, that's my record. And he looked at me, he said, what? I said, that's my record. He was like, no way. I said, yeah. I said, man, I hustle, man. I do business. I said, to me, money is money. I own a small business that takes care of the family and help me run my own business and do other stuff. And so that's my main thing with kids is like, don't try to make a career off drug money. Get a legal hustle. That way you can promote your music constantly the way you want to. And see, with me, I can promote my music. I put a new single out every 3 months. So, because I make enough to take care of the family and I make enough to sit aside to do what I want to do. And so when I used to work for people, I had to wait on a check every 2 weeks. And I used to hate that.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks because I got to wait 2 weeks to get a check and then the car might broke down or, you know, I might need a tire. Damn, that's cutting into my budget. So I went and got my own job, created an own hustle, and I make a lot of money. So now I can put my music out. And now like I say, I learned a lot about registering music because people think like recording a record and that's it. The money is not in the record. The money is how you profile on paperwork. That's where the money at, because that's where that long money at. Is who's the owner of that record. You see, you got to know who's all your paperwork. You got to see your paperwork, because if you're getting somebody to do it for you, you don't know if they're putting it wrong or right or putting them as the artist or them as the owner. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I do all that myself. I like go online and I study how to do it. Like about 10 years ago, right quick, I was walking in Atlanta and I asked this entertainment lawyer, I said, man, I need to get an ASCAP card. And I heard you help a lot of artists get it. I said, how much it costs? He said, well, I do them for $5,000. $5,000? I said, that's pretty steep. I said, what all goes involved in it? He wouldn't tell me. So I bumped into this dude we became real good friends, and he was a producer. And I was like, man, I record music, but my boy just went back up to New York. And so he said, I got a studio. I said, I'm trying to get an ASCAP card. I said, is it hard to get? He said, no. I said, what's the detail? He said, you got $25? I said, $25? He was like, yeah. I said, the lawyer told me $5,000. He said, no, all it takes is $25. He said, basically filling out a job application. He said, come over to the house, bring $25 on a card, and we'll get your ASCAP card. And I got it for $25, and the guy wanted to charge me $5,000. That's the type of stuff that go on here in the A. That what kills a lot of people, kills a lot of these artists.
Everybody think that the Atlanta artists and Atlanta scene is they like tight knit, and I said that's a lie. I said the ones like went to school together, or like if say if my auntie was sleeping with he your uncle, and then we kind of got close as kids or whatever, or that kind of thing, that community thing. So a lot of these cats in Atlanta grew up together, went to the same high school, or played ball together, or sold dope on the streets together, whatever it was. And I said those cats kind of tight knit, but everybody else is on the outside looking in. So everybody else, if they not in one of these little circles or one of these cliques, then no, they don't get to thrive. That's why all the people caught up with Young Thug, to be honest with you, because and then people like, oh, they snitching, because really a lot of them cats really wasn't in Young Thug's world. They just was affiliated with him because they might have knew his cousin, or somebody might have knew somebody and introduced them to them, and like, oh, this my brother, this my cousin, this my folk, and then put a gun or somebody with them, and then all of a sudden when everything go left, oh well, he ain't loyal because it was a business transaction. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, most of these artists in Atlanta, most of these folks, if you really move around Atlanta like me and you have, it's the most grimiest. It's just as grimy as New York or LA or Miami. It's just as grimy as anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? But this whole notion that it's tight knit because everybody done blew up in Atlanta, that's not it. It's because everybody sound alike, so it's easy for everybody to get on at the same time.
Right. And another thing, I see a lot of these artists is really, they can't stand each other, and they just like you say, if I'm cool with this person and this person know that person, he might be able to hang with us. And you don't know nothing about him, but he might be able to hang with us. It's the same way with the Young Thug situation. But I even see best friends fall out in Atlanta. Like when Outkast broke up, I was like, well, damn. Because, them boys was like, you were really tight. But when they broke up, then I was like, then you start seeing like Jeezy and his people, some of his people start falling off. Ludacris and some of his people start falling off. Like, people hang around you for opportunity. And that's why I keep trying to tell people, to you looking for friends, but to them, they're looking for, I call it a situationship. They're looking for a different situation to see if you can put them in a different situation. And once they get in, like I-Dub and Luda, or Rashida and Luda, they were tight when Luda was the big dog, and then Luda brought them on. Now all of a sudden they get a big head. Now they don't need Luda and they beefing, So it's a lot of jealousy, man. It's like even in your clique, it's a lot of jealousy. And when you see people roll real deep, the thicker you roll, the more it's a lot of jealousy in that squad, bro. Believe it or not, and jealousy is a disease, bro. It's like a disease that can't be cured, bro. Because if that person in the group is not down with you, but he's just there, that's how a lot of these artists get robbed in Atlanta.
I mean, you gotta look at it like this. How many artists, and that's why I would tell you'd be almost crazy if it's an artist like a T.I., a Luda, whoever, and they artists become bigger than them. The only situation you kind of seen it even that kind of came to that was probably like Meek Mill and Rick Ross. Because I don't see Rick Ross being as like selfish as some of these other like artists of those ilk or whatever. So it's like when these artists get artists like, then they feel threatened a little bit, then they're gonna slow that train down.
It's a limelight. I call it limelight protection.
Yeah, I knew a cat years ago, and he managed this artist that came back out in like early 2000s. I forgot the artist's name, but he had him over at Grand Hustle, and basically they was putting the money behind the artist, and basically whoever it was, I don't know if it was T.I. himself or if it was what's the name of man Trey, or what's the name Trey that just died, whatever, not a couple of months ago, but I don't know whoever it was, but whoever was pulling the strings over there was basically told them, no, y'all got to slow down. We don't want him doing anything yet but we putting up our own money, even though he's under y'all, whatever. We putting up the money ourselves because we got tired of him sitting around waiting. We go to the studio, we take him to the studio, and it's 30 cats in the studio, and we can't even get no studio time because there's too many people all here. He said, time they go to the studio, it's a bunch of women and just dudes hanging around. So they was like, nah, we just put our own money up, make sure he get the studio time, make sure he get what he's supposed to get. And they basically said, no, slow it down. They ended up like dropping him from the label because they felt like, you know, if you ain't gonna fall in line with how we gonna do it, then we don't want you at all. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, just tell everybody your social medias, man, and where they can find you, get the music. You know what I'm saying? So we can get out of here.
Yeah. That's because we'll be here all night, man. When old heads get together, you know, we got a lot to talk about. But yeah, so you know, you can find me on SoundCloud. You can find me on iTunes Music, Audio Box, YouTube. I try to go everywhere. Like I say, my maybe I promote everything from SoundCloud. Like I'll upload it to SoundCloud and then shoot it out from there and stuff like that. You know, I do a lot of music, and I also like try to do management and talk to young people. So I'm not just an artist or a songwriter. I also try to push the business side on a lot of artists so they can understand the game fully and not just be an artist. But like I say, for all these young cats, that even if you got a $5,000 budget, you can break a record nowadays. But you got to bring something to the table. And you cannot expect these dudes that own these radio stations that got to pay the light bill, got to pay the internet bill. You can't expect these dudes to bump your shit for free. Because at the end of the day, they got more bills than you, because they got insurance. They got tires to get on their car to get there. They got a lot of stuff to do. So, you know, if you're serious about your music, get you a budget while you creating the record. And that's what I do. Get you a budget and then go to these people with something in your pocket, not just a record, and they'll work with you.
And I'm gonna say this, and we out after I say this. That's a catch-22 phrase that you just said, because I know cats who own radio stations, and when they try to play artists for free, they won't mess with them because they feel like, oh, it must not be real, it must not be serious. They don't take you seriously if you offer them something for free. So, you know what I'm saying? And that just be somebody who is just trying to help the artist, trying to pay the culture forward. But the artists look at it as, it's almost like if I came to you right now and say, I got these Jordans, I'm giving to you for free, you're going to be like, must be something wrong with them. No, I'm trying to help. I just want to bless you with some Jordans. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, but anyway, man, we out of here, man. My man, King Jacob, the mind, you know what I'm saying? It's your boy, Icon E95 South Podcast. We out of here, man. Y'all have a blessed night.
We got the good vibes, got the 1942 pouring in my cup. In the session real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up.